What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. The days, after getting Champions League qualification, Tudor saying basically sack me, and then no, I'm gonna coach the Club World Cup. And what the hell is Conte going to do? Apparently, there is a list that Conte revealed to the club, to Juve, 5 demands Conte has to accept the job and come and coach Juve. Apparently, this is the list. The source is Monblano, and I will go through the list and say why I actually believe certain things and why certain things maybe are just, kind of made up, whatever you want to call it. However, the things he's quote unquote asking for is the things we are asking for as well. So that's the interesting part, but also the tricky part at the same time, because one of those things on that list is maybe not even possible to get even for Conte. Before we get into it, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the list. Okay, so everybody knows Tudor is going to stay for a Club World Cup. That has been confirmed by his agent, but his agent said, and afterwards we will see and all those things. It's clear that Tudor is not the first choice. It's clear that Conte is the first choice. What's not clear is if Conte is actually joining, because there are so many reports out there from Di Marzio, who has been awful, when it comes to Juve news. Not so much Napoli news, but we are in the mix, so I cannot really believe it. And he said, yeah, they're just heading towards a divorce. And now there are reports saying De Laurentiis and the players are pushing to convince him to stay. A meeting with him and De Laurentiis will take place today or tomorrow, and the hope is that they will convince him with a large transfer budget, signing De Bruyne already, Jonathan David, not selling other players. So that's that. However, according to Monblano, there are 5 things Conte asked the club to do basically before hiring. One is a very present and involved club. Well, obviously, I guess. The problem is we are absolutely not that. And it's not going to change overnight. How many times have we come on and talked about the fact that the club is absent? When things refereeing wise, when people complain about referees, and I said, as long as the club doesn't complain, it's pointless. If the club accepts everything, red cards, 2 games extension, same thing happens to a Milan player, he gets 1 game extension. And it's not about Milan, it's just the same thing happens with another player and they get a different punishment. The club is quiet, the club accepts everything, so it's kind of pointless for us to get involved, in my opinion. That is a thing that's not easy to realize with this team, with this management, because they're not. I don't feel like the club is that much present. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe you're like, they are actually present and really involved, but it's not. Remember when with the Mota situation and Giuntoli waited, and then the next day he spoke to Sky Italia and gave 3 quotes, and I'm like, what the hell is even going on? Everybody was shocked. Like, how is that how you conduct your business? So that's one of the demands of Conte. The second one is a significant effort to build a strong team. Obviously, no matter where you go, that's a demand every coach is going to ask. And to be honest, I think that's also the plan of the club. Obviously, I mean, Giuntoli spoke about it, said we need 3 targeted signings. And with 3 targeted signings, I believe he thinks 3 starters. Again, obviously up top, probably at the back, and probably on the wing or something. That is what he means with targeted signings. That doesn't mean we're only signing 3 players, but 3 of them are targeted for specific positions and probably to start games, and then the rest will kind of sort themselves out. That's obvious. That's what Napoli are going to offer. That's if he says a Napoli, what he's going to ask De Laurentiis. Like, that's a lot of sense talking, and we are going to do business, but it's what type of business? Are you going to buy another fringe player where it's like, maybe you come good, maybe he doesn't come good, maybe we'll sell him again? That cannot be the case. I think that's what apparently Conte is referring to, and actually every single fan, to be honest. Third one on the list is trusted people who are willing to work 24/7. I'm not sure what that means. I have a clue with trusted people. Probably his own people. The club need to accept that he's bringing certain type of profiles in. Oriali, Inter quote unquote legend, which nobody really likes, something like that maybe. But commitment, I think it goes back to one, the club being really involved from a day to day basis, getting involved with things Conte shouldn't get involved with, responding to things Conte shouldn't respond to. That is an issue because that hasn't been the case. Even when Allegri was there, it was Allegri taking all the heat. It was Motta taking all the heat for things that happened off the field and stuff like he couldn't control. So that's a very, I don't know, like very normal demand. Like it's nothing crazy. It's like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Point four is a strong competence at the management level. Well, that's where the biggest issue is, right? It feels incompetent. When people talk about Giuntoli is going to go, I don't think Giuntoli is going to go this summer. I feel it's impossible to do now with the transfer window kicking off. I don't see how you're going to get that done. I have a feeling somebody like Scanavino will probably get quote unquote sacked before Giuntoli gets a sack. That's the feeling I'm having at this moment in time, to send this certain type of signal where it's like we need to do something, but it's somebody who's kind of irrelevant, let's be honest. And that's purely because of the timing of the situation. How are you going to sack Giuntoli and bring a new sporting director in and he's going to need to assess things? It also makes no sense with the contract renewal talks going on, with talks with new players going on. Like, you're not going to let Giuntoli do that and then as a club be like, oh, by the way, you're sacked, new guy comes in, everything collapses. Player talks, they go elsewhere. Contract talks, need to do it all over again because there's a new sporting director, he wants to do something else. So that's probably not going to happen. So the competence thing, I'm not even sure what that means. It's well documented that Conte is not a fan of Giuntoli, nor was Allegri, but he's going to need to deal with it if he wants to coach Juve again this or next season. I don't see how Giuntoli is going to walk. And the last point apparently is if John calls, I might be able to remove one condition, meaning beg me to come back to the club, apologize that you passed on me last summer, and for Motta when I was hoping and I was pushing to come back and waiting to come back, and you said no, we're gonna go with Motta. Now ask me nicely, and maybe I will say, you know what, Giuntoli can stay for another season. I can make it work, and whatever. That's the feeling I have. In a nutshell, all these points might be made up by Monblano. At the end of the day, they're all logical. We probably can add another 10 points to it that sounds logical for Conte to ask because they're logical to us. A competent team, a good team, a competent management, a management that's involved, a management that, wants to work hard, wants to bring this club to the top again. Like, all very logical things, no rocket science, excuse me, at all. So make of it what you want. The situation is everything is unclear at this moment in time. A lot of people believe Conte is going to join us, but even if he leaves Napoli, it's not certain purely because of the reports out there that suggest that, well, what he's asking for is probably not going to happen. So interesting days ahead of us. Maybe he's going to stay at Napoli. I have a feeling he might still end up at Napoli. That's my opinion. I didn't even give my opinion on the next coach because I'm not sure that Tudor is going to leave. I was sure that Allegri was going to leave, so gave my opinion at the time. I was like, my first choice is Italiano. But if we get Motta, I was okay with it, and that's how it went. But I knew, and we all knew, Allegri was sacked at the end of the season. I'm not certain Tudor is going to get sacked. So I don't have the moment I know Tudor is gone, I will come out with my opinion on who I believe should be the next coach or who I like the club to look at to become the next head coach. For now, they only have one target. It's Antonio Conte, but it's far from certain that he is going to be the Juve coach. No matter what reports comes out with Conte, it can never be certain until it's signed. So even if the news comes out that he's leaving Napoli, it's for certain, and everybody's like he's close to Napoli, I still need to see it before I actually start to believe it when it comes to Antonio Conte. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about the entire situation. Do you think he's going to leave Napoli? And if so, will he join us? And how willingly is Juntuli, you know, willing to work with Conte, knowing how he sets his demands and what his standard basically is, and how he wants to conduct himself and oversee a lot of things, and all those things. So let me know in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.